Hi muckers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing very well. Thank you so much for clicking on my YouTube channel and on my video today. I really wanted to talk about this. So, as we know, the documentary came out on Nickelodeon Quiet on Set, and it was a real conversation starter, and it was definitely a conversation that was severely delayed and something that needed to happen for a very long time in the conversation of what child actors go through. And I think that it needed to happen. It needed to happen 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. But anyway, it happened now. And, thankfully it's happening now. And it's unfortunate that we have had like decades of child stars having to deal with lifelong trauma because of not being protected when they were children. And also processing things as adult is so much different than in the moment. But Ariana Grande has spoken up, and I'm sure you've seen the clip. But one thing I wanted to talk about was I was seeing this conversation go around where people were almost blaming Ariana Grande, and they were blaming Victoria Justice, and they were blaming, the other people from Liz Gillies and Danielle Monet. Like, they were blaming the cast of Victorious and iCarly and Drake and like the people that weren't speaking up, right? They were blaming them. And I saw people doing this with Amanda Bynes as well, where they were saying that, well, why aren't you talking about Dan Schneider? Like, we're now talking about Dan Schneider, as in, like, the media. So, like, here's your turn. Here's your time to talk. And a lot of people saw it as an issue that these big stars, basically the prominent ones in the general public, like Ariana Grande, were not using their platform to talk about Dan Schneider and, kind of further push the message out there. And I want to go through this, like, Reddit thread, and I also want to show the Ariana clip. But I just think that that is so messed up that it's expected of people to have to talk about stuff that they went through as a child. Here's the thing. Yes, if someone like Ariana Grande spoke about Dan Schneider, the world would go crazy. Like, if she, like, in that moment of the documentary, obviously she's talking about it now, a couple months later. If she was talking about that then, obviously it would have had huge impact. But I think what people are realizing that Ariana Grande's job isn't just to talk about this, because she is also a victim. Ariana Grande is a victim of the child actor industry, and is a victim of Dan Schneider, the way so many others are, and basically of Nickelodeon, to like open it up a little bit further, right? Like, we have these clips, right, where, and I don't necessarily want to play them, so I'm not going to, but I'm just kind of going to, show you, like, there are these clips of really weird things that Ariana Grande was forced to do on set. And there are also clips where, Dan Schneider would go up and record Ariana Grande, and, like, where her skirt is, like, almost coming up, and Liz Gillies is, like, pulling it down so that he doesn't record that. And he just very, very obviously made a lot of the actors, specifically, Ariana Grande, who was a real big focus, because made them very uncomfortable, clearly. And the reason for that is because Ariana Grande's character was this dumb, ditzy character. And her entire storyline on Victorious, the child show, was basically that she was in a very, abusive household. That her brother was crazy, and, her life was really messed up, and so she never really knew what she was doing, and innuendos went over her head, and she would do things that would look inappropriate, but she didn't mean for them to be. Like, Ariana Grande, I don't think people realize, is one of the main people that the entire role was sexualized, and the entire role was very, very, very crossing so many boundaries. So to expect someone to just speak about it because they have a big platform is ridiculous. And these people are reprocessing this as you're processing it. Like, think of the amount of people being like, oh my God, I can't watch the show the same way. Imagine being in the show. Quick. Like, put your own selfishness aside, that you just want the drama and want whatever, and imagine being in this position. So again, we have this clip of Ariana Grande talking about it. But what I was talking about was, this Reddit conversation said people are being very unfair to Ariana Grande regarding the Dan Schneider accusation. Since the horrific things that happened at Nickelodeon started to be exposed, I've seen many people, especially on TikTok, criticizing Ariana Grande for not speaking up, saying that she, traded the opportunity to help for staying silent instead of helping victims, which is so ridiculous because Ariana Grande is a victim of this. And basically someone had went on and said, while it's very notable she didn't say anything when the documentary came out, despite the fact that she was mentioned in the second episode, as being very, over-sexualized, she was victimized as a child and, was having to do really weird stuff in front of the cameras. And then this person saying, most of those people have spoken out. Ariana Grande still follows him on Instagram, never spoke out negatively about him or her time on set. And then there was someone that wrote basically, I can't remember where it was, but like there's this back and forth conversation, right, where some people are saying, well, Ariana Grande still associates herself. Ariana Grande never basically told Dan Schneider, declined him like publicly, like cut him off or whatever. And I think as well, one thing to note with this, now that we have this context of her speaking out, I think we need to stop rushing people. Oh, hello, camera, come back down. I think we need to stop rushing people into talking about experiences they experienced as a child just because they're an adult. I don't know if people think that like, oh, you're an adult now, so, it's so long ago since it happened. Some people repress things. Some people handle them differently. And also, it's not Ariana Grande, Victoria Justice, any of these people's responsibility to speak about it because you're not comfortable talking about it. Like, that's what this boils down to. This documentary came out, and then the general public were like, okay, now we want you all to speak out. So that's on your time, and you weren't even involved. I just think it's incredibly disturbing that, like, that's the way that we, as, like, a general public, decide when is right for someone to speak whenever it comes to things that have happened to them as a child. I just think it is really, it's upsetting that the conversation as well of, oh, Ariana Grande never cut Dan Schneider off as well. Also, Ariana Grande, again, was one of the main people that this was happening to. So Ariana Grande not cutting Dan Schneider off and still following him on Instagram, a couple years ago or whatever like that, does not take away from the fact that Ariana Grande was a victim of this. And I just hope, like, people can see that, because the conversation was just really, I don't know. Also, it's very clear she's being incredibly careful in this clip as well. Oh, wait, I was trying to, hold on. I want to, let me just tweak my screen a little bit, because I want you to see this clip in its entirety. All right. Let me move this over a little bit. Here we go. See how quick I did that? And you call me not an editor. All right, let's go. So very clearly she's being very careful. But again, that's not my or your responsibility. If Ariana Grande wants to be careful talking about this, then Ariana Grande can be careful talking about this. If she doesn't want to talk about this, then she doesn't have to talk about it. If she wants to, then she can. This didn't happen to us, so we can't be the dictators of enough time has passed. You were a child when this happened. You were a teenager when this happened. So come on, speak up now. Anyways, let me play it to you.
My relationship to it has and is currently and has been changing, and I'm reprocessing a lot of what the experience was like, my
So also, can we focus on her wording here? I'm reprocessing it. So that is a case of, putting it aside, and then when all of this came up again, the people that were involved are all reprocessing this. So it's ridiculous to be like, okay, and where's your statement? Where's your whatever? They're reprocessing it. They have to process it before they decide whether or not they do or don't want to talk about it. And by the way, even after reprocessing, these people don't have to speak up. They don't. They're the ones this happened to. They're the victims. People have already seen the clips of Ariana. People have already seen what Dan Schneider has made her do, what Nickelodeon. We know this has happened to her. If she wants to talk about it, she can. But the public are already talking about all the videos. So,
Yeah, I think that the environment, needs to be made safer if kids are going to be acting. And I think there should be therapists. I think there should be parents allowed to be wherever they want to be. And I think not only on kids' sets, I think if anyone wants to do this or music or anything at the level of exposure that it means to be on TV or to do music with a major label or whatever, there should be in the contract something about therapy is mandatory twice a week or thrice a week or something like that. And I was actually talking to Max Martin about this the other day because he was always such an amazing person to talk to about the stressful parts of what I was experiencing. And he was just amazing. But a lot of people don't have the support that they need to get through performing at that level at such a young age, but also dealing with some of the things that the survivors who've come forward, and there's not a word for how devastating that is to hear about. And so I think the environment just needs to be made a lot safer all around. And like I said, I'm still in real time processing my relationship to it. But the beautiful thing about it was that Liz.
I think as well with so many of these actors who experience this, I think it's very clear to tell by the way she's saying this, trying to rethink her new relationship with it. There is a lot of child actors who have spoken up and said that they feel uncomfortable speaking against it because they got their career from the show or whatever. So it's like they don't want to turn their back completely on it because they think that they have what they have now because of it, which is also really sad, which is also another reason that we shouldn't be pushing these people to have to speak about it. Listen to the ones that are speaking about it. The footage of these actors that, is problematic from Nickelodeon is already out there anyway. We already have our opinions of it. If anything, you're just trying to re-traumatize or traumatize these now adult child actors. And it's like, I think the best takeaway here is let people move at their own pace and just take it from there. You know what I mean?
And I got to fall in love with these characters that we created and learn what it feels like to be so in a character that you can't, separate yourself from it. And there were things like that. But the rest of it is still being worked on.
Okay. And again, I just think the biggest takeaway here is let people move at their own pace. Just because it's convenient for you for them to speak out doesn't mean it's convenient to them in their journey. I wanted to talk about this, and I know you've probably watched videos already where people are, watching this clip, but I just kind of wanted to talk about like that aspect of the conversation because I've been seeing that for so long and it really bothered me. Okay, I'm going to love and leave you. I'm going to head to bed, but I want to come on here and talk about this. I will see you in my next one, and goodbye.